सहना ववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Om. May He protect us both. May He cause us both to enjoy the bliss of liberation. May we exert to find the true meaning of scriptures. May our studies be fruitful and we never quarrel with each other. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
ओम अस्तु मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Om. Lead us from the unreality of transitory existence to the reality of eternal self. Lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of spiritual knowledge. Lead us from the fear of death to the knowledge of immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Om. That Brahman is infinite and this universe is infinite. The infinite proceeds from the infinite. Then taking this infinite universe from the infinite Brahman, what remains is the infinite Brahman alone. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Om. May all be happy. May no one suffer from any illness. May all see what is auspicious and may no one suffer. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Vivekananda Study Circle, NRCVE, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Now, I would like to request Mataji Pravrajika Divyanandaprana to kindly take her seat on the dais. Thank you, Mataji. Now, I am really extremely sorry to inform you that our other speaker, Professor Avdesh Singh, is not available for us on today's talk just because he had an urgent meeting with the MHRD Ministry and that was inevitable. I'm sure Mataji's words would fill in the void. Now, I would like to request Kritika to present a token of our gratitude to Pravrajika Divyanandaprana. Mataji. Swami Vivekananda once said, "Our duty is to encourage everyone in his struggle to live up to his own highest ideal and strive at the same time to make the ideal as near as possible to the truth." Vivekananda Study Circle at IIT Delhi has been formed with the noble aim of providing a platform to the entire IIT Delhi community where such elevating thoughts can be discussed, worked upon, and implemented in our day-to-day life. Now, as I take the pleasure of introducing you all to the auspicious speaker today we have for the meeting, Pravrajika Divyanandaprana. She is a monastic member of Sri Sharda Mad and Ramakrishna Sharda Mission, which is the women's wing of the worldwide Ramakrishna Order. She is currently the principal of Nivedita Vidya Mandir, a school that is run by Ramakrishna Sharda Mission in New Delhi. With a background in science, she has conducted several workshops on synthesis between science and spirituality. She has also conducted a lot of value education seminars in India and abroad. Now, I would like to request Pravrajika Divyanandaprana to kindly enlighten us with her thoughts on today's topic, Modern Problems, Ancient Remedies. Shall I take this?
Om Namah Shriyatirajaaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. Respected dignitaries, faculty members, and dear students, I am happy to be with you this evening for this National Youth Day lecture on modern problems and ancient remedies. So before we go into your problems, let me first of all congratulate this National Resource Center for Value Education and Engineering in Delhi IIT for launching this VSc, which has been so successful, and also for providing a platform to discuss all these high ideas and principles. I would like to tell you, boys and girls, you don't know how lucky you are to be studying in this institution and already studying under such luminous minds. Starting from Dr. Gaur, I was going through his book. He has presented me his book on value education, how to implement it, especially in this engineering streams, and I think it's a remarkable thing. So you have this added opportunity to study under such wonderful minds, and I hope you make the best use of it. So today we are going to discuss your problems. And since Dr. Avadhesh Singh ji is not coming, we have a full 1.5 hour session. So I propose that we discuss this, what I have prepared for the first 50 minutes, and then the next 40 minutes we have a vibrant question answer session. So keep your questions ready. I know you have a lot of questions, the young group especially. As regards this topic today, modern problems, ancient remedies, you may wonder, are there ancient remedies to modern problems? This age is peculiar in the sense the problems of this age are quite peculiar. But there are problems. There are remedies to these problems. If you read Vivekananda literature, you will come across these flashing thoughts which provide remedies for modern problems, for the modern mind. Now, let me first tell you what we are going to discuss today. Well, this is not working. Next slide. You see, I have selected 3 categories of problems which you face. First of all, the personal problems. By personal, I mean here, they are to do with your personality and not with your work situation or whatever. So under this head, we will be studying ADD, which is a common problem, attention deficit disorder. And then we will also be studying what is called emotional intelligence, that is how to manage your emotions. I have deliberately chosen these problems because, as you all know, they are the most important problems of this age. Everywhere students are suffering from this, and so we will be dealing here with the psychological aspects of these problems. Why do they occur at all? We will be doing a little in-depth study of our own psychology. I'm not going to give you superficial answers to these problems. You take up any self-help book, all kinds of answers will be given. But to find a permanent solution to these problems, you have to go a little deeper into your psychology. And then we will discuss what the remedies can be. You yourself will tell me the remedies. This is regarding personal problems. And then we go into professional problems, career-oriented, workplace problems. Here, there are two types which I have selected: stress and decision-making. Stress, as we know, is the most major problem. The greatest trigger of today's psychosomatic diseases is stress. And in some measure, all of us are suffering from stress. So we will be dealing extensively with that, and also with decision-making. Without proper decision-making, we are not going to attain success anywhere. So how to make the right decisions? What are the psychological factors involved? As I told you, we are going to take a journey into your own psychology. So I demand only this much. I demand your total attention. Otherwise, you will not see the connections. There are actually psychological laws which you need to know in order to solve these problems. And unless you pay attention, of course, the very first problem is ADD, attention deficit. But unless you pay the attention you can muster, then you can't actually go deep into these problems. So I just demand your attention, and then we will start discussing these problems. Regarding the third category, social problems, you see, we won't have the time for social problems. We can take it up some other time, because these 4 problems which we are going to deal with, ADD, emotional intelligence, managing your emotions, stress and decision making, they will cover 45 minutes. So let us now take a little journey into a few psychological facts. You see, before we start discussing these problems one by one, there are certain psychological facts which you need to know. Facts regarding your own mind, the functioning of your mind, because they will be required to understand why I have this problem. So we will be discussing these psychological facts first. 2-3 slides I have prepared on these problems. You see, here you have an image of a sculpture which is sculpturing itself. An image sculpturing itself. You know, Vivekananda once said, "You are the creator of your own destiny," which means you sculpture your own life. Vivekananda also said, "You are responsible for what you are, and whatever you wish yourselves to be, you have the power to make yourselves." Which means you can make changes. You did, so you can undo. The power lies in our hands. We can make the changes we want in our lives. We can solve our own problems. We are not at the mercy of any external agency. This is the freedom Vivekananda gives you. And this is also the actual thought behind Vedanta philosophy, that you can make the changes in your life. If you understand your psychology, you can bring in the solutions required. You can make the changes. You are not at the mercy of anybody else, anything else. So, this sentence actually, "You are the sculpture and sculptor in one." Do you know who said it? Any idea? It was not Vivekananda. Anybody can tell me? Science people should be able to tell me. It was made by Sir Erwin Schrödinger, the Austrian physicist, Nobel laureate, who gave you your wave equation. Yes, he said this sentence. "You are the sculpture and sculptor in one," which means you are sculpturing your own life. How, we will see. Now you see, this image is sculpturing itself using a chisel. There is the hammer and the nail. Do you know what is the chisel in the human life, in the human experience? With what do you sculpture your destiny? Any answer? Yes, good. Willpower. Repeated actions, very good. And your thoughts, most of all. Your thoughts are the chisel with which you shape your life. That's the chisel, and it's in your hands. That is the chisel we are using. Now, how is it? How is it that I am using this chisel to shape my life or build my future, create my own image? See, it's like this. All problems are in the mind. Do you acknowledge that? Is it right? Because ultimately, you see, something may appear like a problem to you. An object may appear like a problem to you. But the reaction is in your mind. Your mind is acknowledging it as a problem. So the problem is in the mind. So the solution also is in the mind. Mind management is a very important technique nowadays. Unless you know the instrument with which you are dealing with the world, how will you deal with it properly? So it is important to know certain psychological facts. We will go through those facts before we go into your actual problems. You see, this is the nature of the mind. This concept was given in this manner by Freud in the 19th century, as you know. These words were given by him, but this concept is there in our Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which dates back to 2nd century BC. This is your spiritual heritage. These concepts I have drawn these concepts from there. You see, the nature of the mind is like this. It is a huge iceberg floating on the sea of consciousness, and you are aware of only the tip of the iceberg. You know only the tip. That is the conscious mind. You are conscious of your thoughts, emotions, your ideas, your attitudes, everything only in that small tip. The rest of it you are not conscious of. You don't know from where your emotions are suddenly bursting forth. Somebody says something, you get terribly angry, impulsive reaction. From where did it come? Consciously you didn't think, I should act like this, I should shout like this. You didn't think of it. It came from somewhere deep within, which means the subconscious mind is huge and very powerful. And a large part of your mind is subconscious. You are not conscious of it. This is the present nature of our human mind. Now, once we understand this, we will have to understand how the thoughts work as a chisel. How do I use them to create, to carve my own life, to carve my own future, my destiny? How do I use thoughts? You see, what happens, since many of you are IIT people, I believe you should be given a little in-depth psychology. I don't want to give you superficial concepts, as I told you. You must understand these concepts, and then you can apply them to your problems. You see how thoughts change into tendencies. Why are we telling you that the chisel to change your image is in your own hands? It's in your own hands. Because you see, you can see here the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. I have made it diagrammatical so that it facilitates understanding. Now you see, in the conscious mind, thoughts are arising. They are called vrittis. In Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they are called vrittis. Now what happens is, these vrittis, when you repeat them, they get solidified, as it were, and they go into the subconscious and create deep mental impressions there. That is when they are called samskars. हम बोलते हैं ना, अच्छे संस्कार होने चाहिए. कहाँ से होते हैं अच्छे संस्कार? From the conscious mind. That is the inlet. All your thoughts go into the subconscious, solidify there, create deep mental impressions and become samskars. So samskar आसमान से नहीं गिरते. हमें बनाना पड़ता है in the conscious mind. What you think consciously, that is going to become your samskar, your tendency tomorrow. So understand how important conscious thinking is. That is why your thoughts are the chisel in your hands. If you change your thoughts, your samskars change. The mental impressions in your subconscious change. And then what happens? You see, this is just one part of the circle. These very subconscious samskars, they, after a long time, after sitting in your subconscious mind for a long time, they sprout into vrittis again, into thoughts again. That is when we call them memory, smriti. Dr. Avadesh Singh was supposed to talk on thought versus memory. I am covering that portion also, because it is important to understand your problems. You see here, conscious thoughts go into the subconscious and become samskars. They sprout again as thoughts in the conscious mind. This is the great vritti samskara yoho chakra of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which is telling you your thoughts are responsible for your innate tendencies, and your tendencies are responsible for your memories. You see the connections. Today you watched this slide, then you went home, you were very tired. After a few days, suddenly you remembered, oh, this one Mataji had told me something about thought and memory. So you see what has happened? This thought has become a samskar in your mind, it sprouts as memory after a few days. You start remembering things. It will produce the same vrittis after a few days in your mind. It's like a television show going on in the mind. So this is how conscious thought, subconscious samskar, and memory are connected. They are all connected. So you see, I can change any two by changing one. The inlet to everything is the conscious mind. If I change my conscious thoughts, I change my subconscious samskars, and I change my memories. Now remember, all your thoughts are mostly memories, isn't it? When you are not being exposed to external data, your thoughts are nothing but your memories, memories of the past. So how to get good memories? People are so frightened of their thoughts and memories because there's such a jungle within. So how do you change that? You change it by changing your subconscious samskars. How do you change that? Change your conscious thoughts. They are going to become your samskars. Let me give you an example to understand this. There is a bottle of ink, blue bottle, ink bottle. Now suppose you say, I want to put water into this. I want to put clean water. So what do you do then? First you pour out the ink, then you start pouring in water. What happens? First dark water comes out, isn't it? Dark water comes out, then you go on pouring water, lighter water comes out, lighter, still lighter. Then one fine moment, it will actually be what water you put in, that water will come out. So subconscious mind is like that. Just now it may be very dark, but as you go on putting in the water of good thoughts, first dark liquid only will come out. Then gradually it will be getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And then one fine day, actual transparent clean water will come out. So subconscious mind is like that ink pot. Which means, you see, the final conclusion is, I have the ability to change the contents of my mind. I am not at the mercy of anybody or anything. If I put in good things, I am going to get only good memories. I can change the contents of my subconscious. This is the most important psychological law you have to know. Then you will get the confidence to tackle your problems. Otherwise, what will we do? What will we do when we face problems? Run to the psychologist, psychoanalyst, or maybe that charmer or whatever. Find all kinds of substandard techniques to overcome our problems. But if I know the fundamentals of my own psychology, then I know I can make the changes required. So this is one important thing which you should know. Now here it is, let me give you an example from the Mahabharata. A very important example. You see, because it depicts a state in which we all suffer from. Now what happens is, at one time during the war, Mahabharata war, Duryodhan is fighting and Bhishma is fighting near him. And Bhishma Pitama tells Duryodhan, see, look at all our army, it's getting killed. Such a general massacre. You could have avoided this if you had followed dharma. But you didn't listen to me. You don't even know what dharma is. And then Duryodhan's reply to this was, Janami dharmam, nacha me pravrittim. Janami adharmam, nacha me nivrittim. I know what dharma is. I am not inclined towards it. That is my problem. It's not that I don't know. I know what dharma is. I have no inclination towards it. Look at the state of affairs. And janami adharmam, nacha me nivrittim. I know what adharma is, but I can't desist from it. I am compelled to do what is wrong. Why? Rubbish has been put into the subconscious mind, right from childhood. Only jealousy, anger, hatred, lust, this and that, negative emotions. So now, janami dharmam, although I know what is to be done, I am not able to do it. This is the human condition. Whenever your cerebral cortex tells you this is the right thing to do and you are not able to do it, you must know I don't have this samskara backup which will make me do the right action. It is not enough just to know. You must have the ability to do what you know. That comes only if the subconscious is clean. If it is able to follow the dictates of the conscious mind. Otherwise, the human being goes into a helpless state. I know what is to be done, but I'm not able to do it. That will be the condition. So understand this primarily to know that you can make the changes required if you're careful. If you have this knowledge, you can make the changes. Otherwise, it's a kind of confusion. What do I do? How do I understand this? So this is preliminary psychology. After this, what decides what you think? Very important. Thoughts are just happening. But something decides what you are thinking. You see, there are two things which decide what you think. First is your intake through the senses. This, many of you will be knowing. You see, our 5 senses are constantly exposed to different things in the outside world. Now, the input through the senses is creating the vrittis in the mind. The conscious mind, the vrittis, the thoughts in the mind are created by what I see, what I hear, what I constantly dwell upon. So this is one factor. The second factor is your own memory. The contents of your subconscious are sprouting into vrittis in the conscious. So that is also responsible for what you think. Now, these are the two factors which enable thinking, which means these two have to be under control. What you expose yourself to becomes important. If you expose yourself to nonsense day and night, you are going to actually assimilate that. The contents of your subconscious will be accordingly. And if you expose yourself to good things in life, see good things, hear good things, naturally the vrittis arising in your mind, the thought waves, will be good. So your samskars will be good. So your memories will be good. So you see, this is the factor. And then memories, as I told you, memories are important. Most of your thoughts are memories. So the subconscious should be kept in a good state, in a clean state. There is one more factor which determines thinking, and that is what is called vikalpa. That means conceptual thoughts. What you study in your technical schools, concepts are being given. So that is also a kind of thinking which produces good samskars only. Vidya samskars they are called. So they are not problems for you. So what are the problems? These two can be the problems. Your overexposure through the senses and your memories. These two can create wrong tendencies in your mind. So remember, you can change your thinking by changing these two. This is the whole thing. If I change my level of exposure, I change the thoughts in my mind. So I change my samskars. So I change my memories. And the memories themselves can be changed if I keep on putting in good conscious thoughts. So this is what decides what you think. Now, once you know this much, we will go into your problems. The two major personal challenges are attention deficit disorder and this managing our emotions. Now, attention deficit, you see the characteristic of attention deficit is unable to concentrate for a long period of time. Unable to concentrate. What happens is, he starts with wanting to concentrate, immediately this thought breaks up, it gets fragmented. So, unable to pay attention to one continuous thought for a long time. So, unable to do a whole work. This is a major problem for students. IIT group may not be suffering much from this problem, but outside, it's a rampant problem. Now, what is causing this? We will study. The psychology of it we will study, and the remedies also we will study. And the second problem is managing your emotions. This I don't have to explain. All of us have all kinds of emotions going on within. Unless we are able to manage them and integrate our personalities, manufacture noble emotions, emotions that ennoble our lives, that enrich our human experience, we will be at a loss. If there are only nonsensical emotions within, well, then you are the loser. And how to manage our emotions, how not to allow negative emotions to dominate the mind, and how to build up EQ. EQ is the emotional quotient. Today, EQ is more important than IQ because that is the factor which determines emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a very important part of human psychology today. To be successful in life, EI is required. IQ, there are people with less IQ but high EI, and they succeed in life. So it is important to know this. Now first we will go to ADD. You see, this is attention deficit disorder. Unable to concentrate for a long period of time. So constantly the mind is jumping from one thing to the other, flitting through so many thoughts. Now what is the cause for this, the core cause? You see, as I told you, various books will give you various causes. But if you go to the core psychology, the core cause, the cause is this: overexposure. Overexposure is the cause for ADD. What happens is, you see, when you are, this age is like that, you see, you're constantly bombarded by so many things outside. Your senses are constantly being bombarded. So what happens is, it leads to an overpopulation of thoughts in the conscious mind. All kinds of thoughts which you don't want keep cropping up in the mind. And then they go into the subconscious also. You see, they color the conscious and subconscious minds. They become your samskars also. You don't want them, but they are just getting in because of this over bombardment. So naturally what is to be done is limit your external perceptions. Limit what you are exposed to. You must be able to select. It's not a thing that anything is available and so I'm exposed to it, I'm helpless. Well, that's not the thing. There is a way of determining what I will expose myself to. Remember, what you focus upon is going to become your experience. And if you don't want to experience something, then withdraw your focus. Withdraw your focus. You remember Gandhiji's 3 monkeys? Gandhiji's 3 monkeys? Hear not evil, see not evil, speak not evil. Yes? You see, this, you may tell me that, Mataji, in this age it is impossible. We are exposed to all sorts of things. But you know, in Switzerland there's a park where there are another 3 monkeys. And in those monkeys, you know, one ear is closed, one eye is closed, and half the mouth is closed. Which means, take in what is good. See what is good. Don't see what is bad. Hear what is good. Don't hear what is evil and nonsensical. Speak what is good. Don't speak what. This much we can do. Isn't it? So, limit your sense exposure. This over-bombardment on the conscious mind will lead to all kinds of the growth of jungle within the subconscious, which you are not able to deal with. So, this is one of the most important. You see, nobody is going to tell you guard your senses. Because you see, the commercial market will suffer if they tell you guard your senses. If they are able to inspire greed in you, you will go and buy their products. So nobody is going to tell you guard your senses. But for this problem, ADD, it is important that you limit your exposure. The more you arouse all these negative emotions, greed, anger, this and that, by getting exposed, and look at the advertisements, constantly it is inspiring selfishness, greed, consumeristic tendency. So as long as you keep on doing that, at what cost are you doing it? You go and buy their products, the profit is theirs, but at your cost you are doing it. You are exposing yourself to all sorts of things. Tomorrow you will not be able to control your mind. So get used to, इसीलिए तो कहते हैं सत्संग चाहिए. अच्छी चीज़ों को देखना चाहिए, अच्छी चीज़ों को सुनना चाहिए. Expose yourself to good things, your mind will naturally become good. This is very important. In ADD, what happens? Unconscious thoughts are too many, contrary, and they do not support conscious thinking. Thus, willpower fails. Willpower will work only if you have enough samskars to support your conscious decisions. We already discussed this, isn't it? Because you see, your conscious thoughts are becoming your samskars. Unless your samskars agree that, yes, I must follow this only, unless they are of that type, whatever you think consciously is not going to work. Duryodhana also used to think, you see, at times, no, I must do what is right. But his samskara backup is such, it won't allow him to do what is right. So this is what is happening. We must be able to realize what is actually happening in our minds. Willpower will only work if you have accumulated enough samskars to make it work. इसलिए ध्यान दीजिए आप अंदर क्या लेते हैं. It is important. There's another example here. Suppose you are trying to study and TV is the obstacle. Now immediately if you tell your mind, "Arey, withdraw from TV," it may not listen unless you have avoided television for a long time. This is the thing. If you have done it in the past, if you have kept on doing it, then the action becomes easy. But just because the cerebral cortex tells you, don't do this, this is harmful for you, it doesn't mean your personality is not going to do it. unless there is samskara backup, a good samskar backup, you will not be able to do the right action. So let us be careful. So the methods naturally become, first of all, healthy exposure. The exposure which is coming in through our senses, it is most important. It is going to decide the contents of my own mind. How important then is it? Most important. So expose yourself to good things in life. Goal orientation. If I have a high goal to attain, I will not get sidetracked. If I want something intensely, some higher ideal intensely, I am not going to go after just what is being shown to me. So goal orientation becomes very important. Goal orientation is you must know what you want and focus on it. Your focus decides your experience. This is a psychological law again. What you focus on will decide your experience. You see, the exact nature of the law is like this. It says you can experience something only when you remove from your focus what you don't want to experience. You experience something intensely only when you remove from your mind what you don't want to experience. So learning to train our attention, and that is why a quality lifestyle doesn't mean what we understand today, a very hi-fi lifestyle. It means something of real quality which will stand by you in all these things. It means community service activities also, because you see, good actions are the best way to produce good thoughts, good samskars in your mind. When you do something good, your gain is what you know out of that good. It creates a good samskar in your mind. It creates a samskar of compassion. It creates a samskar of service. It creates a samskar of helping someone. So that is your gain. So this is how mentally the gain is yours. Physically the gain was someone's. Service changes your mind. So get used to community service activities. And then good reading habits. Reading naturally produces thought flow in your mind. So good reading will produce a good thought flow. And meditation. I don't want to go deeply into meditation because each one of us has to discover our own methods. But remember, some technique to calm your mind is required. Otherwise, we will never be in control of our mind at all. It's just something is in front of me, I have to keep seeing it. Something I'm being exposed to, I have to keep hearing it. If this is the state of affairs, then we turn into slaves. After some time, I'm not in control of my life at all. So some technique to keep your life under your control is meditation. Discover the technique yourself. There are so many techniques. This is regarding attention deficit disorder. You see, when you understand the psychology of it, the psychology is overpopulation of thoughts in the conscious mind due to overexposure. Then you know, I control my attention by controlling my exposures. This is the important thing to understand. Now we will go to the next problem, which is emotional intelligence. Now here, in understanding the laws of emotional intelligence, you see, first of all, let us get it clear what an emotion is. An emotion is a high energy thought. A high energy thought associated with feeling becomes high energy thought. It is so, it has so much of energy that it creates waves of vrittis in your mind. An emotion will create waves of vrittis. It's not like a rational thought or a logical thought. So when it creates a wave of vritti, immediately the samskar is generated. It's a formidable force, emotions. If we don't know how to manage our emotions, we are not going to get anywhere in life. So if we are able to generate good emotions, it is going to lead to sadbhav, what is called. If we are not able to generate good emotions, it is going to lead to kubhav and also viparya. Viparya is wrong knowledge. I have taken the example of road rage because it's something which applies to young people. You see, maybe you're racing along a road and you have very less time to get somewhere, and somebody in front of you, you're honking and he is not allowing you space to overtake him. So what do? You swerve and try to overtake, he also swerves. And then this goes on for some time, and then you go parallel to him and shout at him, and he also shouts at you, and the shouting goes on, and then it can even come to blows. So this is road rage. Now, what is happening here? We will study this example. You see, in the diagram, the entire conscious mind has got colored with the emotion of anger. anger and hatred and ego, he didn't allow me to go forward. So you see, ego is there, anger is there, loath. This hateful fellow, I'll show him. So many negative emotions. The entire conscious mind has become red. And then immediately in the subconscious, you are generating samskars of anger. Immediately. So then what happens due to this? It results in a total generation of a negative mental setup. Total negativity. So you are not able to take any rational good decision at all. Negative emotions come from toxic thoughts. Thoughts of hatred, anger, loath. So many are there. You know, let me give you another example from the Bhagavad Gita this time. Very interesting question. At one point in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun asks Krishna, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi vashnaya baladiva niyojitah, which means impelled by what does a man commit sin? Forcefully, as it were. He doesn't want to do it. It's not his intention. Anichannapi vashnaya baladiva niyojitah, as if he's being forced to do it. You ask any criminal why he did it, he'll say, I was not myself then. What is it that forces a man to go into negative thoughts, to go into toxic thoughts? Krishna's answer is very interesting. He says, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhena miha vairinam. The cause is unrestricted lust, unbridled anger. Born out of rajas, this is responsible for the destruction of man. Know it to be your enemy here. Vidhena miha vairinam. Know it to be your enemy here. As long as we encourage negative emotions to dominate our minds, our reactions will never be positive. No matter what your soft skills are. Understand the psychology of it. As long as I take in negativity in all these forms, encourage negative emotions. Today I don't know what we have done to the things we are exposed to. So much of negativity. If I keep on telling our children that, look, do what is good, and I don't tell them how to do it, I keep exposing them to the wrong things, how can I expect good reactions? How can I expect a good mind? So understand that your thoughts depend on what you are exposed to. If you are constantly seeing violent situations, if you're constantly seeing all sorts of things generated by the media and so many other things, then it will not be possible for you to take the right step at the right moment, because your mind is full of the same things. So controlled exposure and ability to generate positive thoughts, ability to turn away from negativity. The methods of self-control, you see, they are again from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. The first method is Pratipaksha Bhavanam, it is called, which means bring in positive thoughts immediately. Anger is rising in me. Immediately I smile, I change my body language and say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Please go ahead. You can tell that to the person you are trying to raise. So bring in the opposite emotion. Get used to good works. That is the best way to cultivate empathy, positive emotions, good emotions in the mind. And then the second thing is, see the whole picture. My job is to go to my destination, not to get sidetracked and fight with the person who's going ahead of me. So when I have a solid goal in front of me, I will not get sidetracked. This is the second way. An urgent desire to reach your destination will prevent anger. The third is, good works must be made a habit. You see, the best way to produce good thoughts, good samskars is go ahead, go out of your way and do good to others. This is Swamiji's great karma yoga, you see. Seva. By doing seva, naturally you build up your mind. You build up noble thoughts in your mind. You build up positive emotions in your mind. This is the simple law. Can there be anything simpler than that? Do good and you become good. You don't have to struggle to become good. Just go on doing good no matter what nonsense is taking place in the mind. Go on doing what is the appropriate action. The contents of your mind will go on changing. There is nothing easier than karma yoga, that's why. When I can't do dhyan, when I can't do any kind of deep level meditation, the best is go and do service. Do something good to somebody and you will see what rest it gives your mind, what peace comes in. So this is the natural method. Good works create good thoughts, thoughts of compassion, love and service, substitute thoughts of anger, hatred and jealousy. And then strong samskar backup, as I am saying you all through, is required to have a good character. In order to prevent negative emotions, I must have strong samskar backup. Positive emotions recharge your body and mind. Most of our problems are due to negative emotions. All psychosomatic illnesses are due to negative emotions. A man is verily what his bhav is. इसका मतलब है आपका emotional intelligence level जितना है, that is you, that is the actual you. So, learn to develop positive emotions, learn to root out negative emotions. Thoughts of service, sharing and love have therapeutic effect. Thoughts of hatred, anger and lust are destructive. Knowing this and knowing that EQ is far greater than IQ, it's going to play a far greater role, because when you manage your own emotions, you can manage the emotions of others. You can manage your relationships. You can manage your family. When you manage your family, you manage your social life. When you manage your social life, you manage your national life. You manage the whole world if you can manage your own mind. And that is why emotional intelligence must be cultivated. So these are the methods. Now we go to your professional challenges, stress management and decision making. Now in stress management, stress is nothing but perpetual anxiety. You all know what stress is, let's not dwell on that. And it is the greatest trigger of psychosomatic illnesses today. Stress is work related or emotion related. Now first we will go into this stress thing. You see, stress is caused by negative complexes in the subconscious. So first you have to understand what complexes are. A complex is like this. You see, now these three are complexes. They are not just thoughts. What is a complex? A negative emotion plus a defensive attitude. Suppose I get angry and I defend it. What happens? A wrong value system is generated, isn't it? I had some strong negative emotion in the mind and I justified it. So wrong value system came in. Along with that, conflicting thoughts. Is this right? Is that right? Should I do this? Should I do that? So all this leads to a complex in the mind. It's a bundle of negative thoughts. For example, when you are preparing for an exam, psychological stress factors may be laziness, procrastination, inattention, anger, all bundled into a complex. Your laziness is responsible for your complex. But how you excuse yourself, you say, I'll just ask my friend tomorrow, somehow I will manage the exam. This increases stress. Dishonesty increases stress. So you see, the stress factors are all in our own mind. They are nowhere outside. We are generating our stress through our complexes. So the best way is be completely honest. Do what is required for you to do. Resolve the complex. Resolve the complex. You see, that is what the next thing is going to tell us. Stress management. Learn to relax. Relaxation means calm. But calm is the property of a noble mind. A dishonest mind cannot be calm, no matter how much you meditate. So I'm not going to give you superficial solutions. Yoga cannot be attained just like that. It requires a clean life. So the true inner calm comes from honest hard work. And secondly, plan your routine. All of us know this. Time management beats stress. It's a kind of intelligence to be able to manage time properly. And then yoga and exercise. Some method to calm the mind like meditation, breathing exercises, healthy lifestyle. Healthy lifestyle, of course, includes the food for the senses must be pure, as we have been discussing. You see, when Shankaracharya used the word ahar, he gives a very beautiful sentence, Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhihi, sattva shuddhau dhruva smritihi. What a beautiful sentence. When your ahar is pure, what you take in is pure, it leads to sattvic mode in the mind. When you develop sattva in the mind, it leads to sound memory. But ahar includes everything that you take in, not just food. Aharati iti ahar. You take in something through the eyes, you take in through the ears, through all the senses we are taking in data, isn't it? We are taking in so many things. So everything should be pure. Then then it will really lead to a sattvic state of mind that will produce clean memories, good memories. So the whole thing again is in the mind. Through your thoughts, you can control the whole thing. Resolve the emotional complex through the right attitude. You see, always dishonesty is the attitude which causes stress. You write down the factors which cause stress in you. You will see somewhere you are falling short of the ideal. So that has to be completed. That has to be answered. Otherwise, it will, your stress will continue. It's after all, everything is in the mind. So any form of dishonesty practiced anywhere becomes a stress factor. Then positive outlook. You see, in the West, they practice this so much. Constantly they say thank you and sorry. It produces a beautiful state of mind actually. Because you're grateful. You receive something, don't take it for granted. If you take something for granted, you have to earn it again. So say thank you. And that is gratefulness. Contentment. Contentment is basic. The mind should be in a contented state if it has to take proper decisions. And that is why the motto in our Indian culture, ancient remedies, was simple living, high thinking principles. Simple living does not mean we reduce ourselves to nothing. But there are other ways of evolving. You see, it's like this. Our organic evolution comes to an end with the development of the human brain. After that, evolution becomes psychological and spiritual. How to evolve into a better human being. That is real evolution. How to evolve my own character. How to get greater and higher forms of fulfillment. That is actual evolution. Not evolving into some other kind of alien species. So, simple living, high thinking was the motto in Indian culture. That is the best way to evolve yourself to higher levels. And today's standard is, what should I say? We have reversed the thing. High living and maybe no thinking. It's not simple living and high thinking today. But we must understand the importance of all this. A positive state of mind can be generated if we have these tendencies, if we have these tendencies. So this is regarding stress management. Now we go to decision making. You see, there are some very important ideas here which young people can use. IIT Kanpur has also a strong VSC, Vivekananda Samiti. So some of these ideas were discussed there. I felt they were so relevant to students everywhere that I'm giving it here also. Decision making, you see, according to Indian culture, there's a very important idea in our Upanishads which will help you in decision making. It is this Preyas and Sreyas idea. आप हिंदी स्पीकिंग लोग हैं इसलिए आपको ऑलरेडी पता होना चाहिए कि श्रेयस्कर जो है वही हम प्रिफर करते हैं, है ना? जो श्रेयस्कर है वही लेना है. तो प्रेयस क्या चीज़ है? Preyas is that which is pleasant and attractive. And Sreyas is that which is good for you. Now in our culture alone, this distinction is made that the two are different. What is good for you may not be pleasant. What is pleasant may not be good for you. This distinction is there in our Upanishads. This is an Upanishadic idea. Shreyas cha preyas cha manushyam tau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha. Kathopanishad. It is there in your Upanishads, which means it is a deciding factor. You see the picture of the boy. What is Sreyas there? Can you tell me? The apple is Sreyas. What is Preyas? Yes, the cake is Preyas. Now the boy's whole attention is on the cupcake. It's not on the apple. So this is our condition also. The whole attention will be on the Preyas. What appears pleasant and attractive. So this is what causes you problem during decision making. This is not there in other cultures. It is profoundly present in our culture. What is pleasant is not good for you. What is good may not appear to be pleasant. Understand the two are different. When you understand the two are different, what happens? This is what happens. Successful decision making has this psychology. You see, conscious decision is supported by the unconscious. A person who is who's successfully taking a decision, the samskars in both the conscious and subconscious mind, the vrittis and samskars, they will be the same. They will not be contradictory to each other. So decision making does not become a problem. They will not be contrary to each other. The whole mind reacts as one person. it becomes the will. It becomes like a charged battery, the whole mind. And so you take one decision. Once you commit yourself to what is Sreyas kar, what is good for you, the mind will behave like this. Instantly you know what is the right thing to do. But if a part of the mind is going after the cupcake, is going after what is Preyas kar, this will not happen. Successful decision making requires that both your conscious and subconscious minds, they support each other. The conscious and the subconscious samskars are the same. Then the whole mind becomes one will, and it will take the right decision and execute it, not otherwise. Now, how to generate this state of mind? That is the important thing. You see, this is crucial to success in life. If we are not able to take the right decisions, we are not able to be successful in life. So how do we bring about this? Let us take it step by step. You see, first of all, when you are wanting to make an important decision, decide what is Sreyas and what is Preyas. Decide what is Sreyas and what is Preyas. What is good for you and what is merely pleasant on the surface. This selection is the first step. It comes from the root seligere in Latin, which means to single out. Single out what you want to experience. And then the most important second step is cut off what you don't want to experience. Remove the choices from your life. Remove the choices. If you don't remove the cupcake from the table, your attention will fall again on that. You are giving your mind different avenues to travel again and again. Waste of time. Decision cannot be made that way. Decide what is Sreyas kar, what is good for you, and then remove the choices from your life. This is how a decision is made. There is no question of willpower is not there. All that will not happen if these two steps are followed perfectly. Single out what is good in the particular situation, cut off the other choices. This is decision making. Decision comes from the root cesar, which means to cut off what you don't want to experience. Unless that is done, how will you experience what you want to experience? This is where we make the mistake. So these are the two most important steps. And then in any given situation, suppose good is equal to pleasant. Sometimes it happens. Then select that which is of maximum benefit to others. Always in making our choices, it should not be a selfish choice. This is where a basic value system conditioned into habits is of great help. Now, the other corollaries are removal of cake becomes easy when you dwell more on the apple. Obviously, isn't it? The most important second step is you have to remove the cake from the table once you have made your choice. And then keep company of people who eat healthy. If you do that, then you will be able to make the right decisions always. Keep company of people who make the right decisions. So these are the methods to make a right decision. There is a very vital point here. I don't know if you noticed it. Whenever people suggest decision making, you see courses also go on decision making. This vital point is missed out. Unless you have removed your choices, select what is good for you and remove the other choices, you will not be able to stick to your decision. This is the simple fact about decision making. Now we come to the conclusion because of the question answer session which we are going to have next. So you see the conclusion is this. Your thoughts shape your character and carve your destiny. Your thoughts are in your hands. Good thoughts and tendencies lead to concentration and proper decision making. To be able to think correctly, keep your exposure good and your memories refined. Good exposure gives you good thoughts and clean memories. So always remember, there is no substitute to a clean, integrated life. No matter who tells you what. You know, our Upanishads used to tell us, our Upanishads, Satyam vada dharmam chara, isn't it? Satyanna pramaditavyam, dharmanna pramaditavyam. This dharma word, it was the one word, unofficial, unwritten constitution of India for centuries. Why? It is so important. In any given situation, what is dharma? In any particular context, what is the right thing to do? Don't just talk of rights. Think about duties. What is the right thing to do in any particular situation? Unless we contemplate on this, how will we be able to take right decisions? So lead a good, clean, dharmic, integrated life. There is no substitute to that. That is the only way to solve all these problems. I will not give you substandard solutions. This is the normal, grand technique to lead a good life. These are the cardinal principles of good living. And then let us conclude with what Swamiji says. Neither money pays, nor name, nor fame. It is character that cleaves its way through adamantine walls of difficulties. It is character that cleaves its way. So the techniques to generate a great character we discussed so far, the more we apply these in our lives, the more honest our life will become, the cleaner it will become, and naturally problems get dissolved. You don't have to solve them, they get dissolved. This is the way to a good life. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for your thought-provoking words. I hope her words might have seeped your souls. So the crux lies in how you feel, and the feelings arise from your thoughts. So listening to her, some words crept up in my mind that were, mind it, mend it, otherwise it will bend you, bind you. Friend it, once you friend it, befriend it, it will friend you forever. That means make your mind your own friend so that it can take you to heights. Now, I would like to request all of you to have a question and answer session with her. So all of you who might like to ask certain questions can raise your hand so that we can pass the mic.
Thank you for a very illuminating talk. I just have one question that, whatever you told, suppose we go and start implementing, and then we fail. We fail once, we fail twice, we fail thrice, we fail 4 times. So what is your take on that? Sometimes the failure also becomes a habit. So you keep on trying, and then, so how should we take the failure?
You see, failures are stepping stones to success. Think of that ink bottle example. When you start pouring in the good water, obviously dark water is going to come out for a long time. So failures are like that. When we start practicing, you see, it's not that we are going to be successful at the first trial. It's not like that. But this has to be done because our problems have to be solved. And if it is not done, well then we take a disastrous course. So we should not be unnerved by failures actually. There are no failures, there are just steps to success.
Mataji, namaste. And my question is, if something wrong is happening before you, and you must prevent that, you must stop that. And while in that process, sometimes you get angry. So how this negative emotion we can justify? Because that emotion is sometimes necessary to stop that evil which is happening before you. So can I justify that?
Yes, that is called righteous indignation. So it's an important thing. You see, your indignation should rise when you see some injustice, but it should not overwhelm you. As you saw in the diagram, if it colors your whole mind and you can't go beyond that, then well, it has overwhelmed you. It should not be to that level, but righteous indignation should rise for me to take the right step. Otherwise, I may, in a permissive society, what happens? There is no righteous indignation at all. So we don't want that. So righteous indignation is permitted, but it should not overwhelm me. That is the idea. How Krishna actually inspired righteous indignation in Arjun during the war. It is required to take the right steps.
Ma'am, I just have one question. That what is the meaning of being successful exactly, in real sense? And what you are talking about, that reaching to our destination, then what exactly is the destination? Hello? Oh, yeah.
It's a very beautiful question. What exactly does success mean? You see, success means where you reach fulfillment. It does not mean what others might be calling as success. Where you reach your own fulfillment. For my success, I must be able to study my own psychology. A little student, for him, the immediate success will be his academic performance. After that, what? After that, what? Like this, as we go on thinking, we understand at some point of time that anything which I get from external resources is not going to get me ultimate fulfillment. So that is when life takes a spiritual turn. That means, is there a state of mind which I can generate which will give me fulfillment? You see, we are all searching for a happiness which is not dependent on outside objects. That is our search. Try to think and see. If my happiness is dependent on an object outside, then if the object is removed, my happiness also goes. So we don't want that. So we are all searching for a state of happiness which is not dependent on outside objects alone. So attaining that state is actual success. So how to do that, what that state is it possible to attain it? All this research has to be done by oneself. This is what the spiritual path is about.
That the problem I face that whatever the set criteria are there in the society to be a successful person. Personally, most of them I have achieved myself, but I'm not happy. I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel that fulfillment, whatever you are talking about. And the things are there in my mind, which I think that if I will do that thing, it will give me full fulfillment. But the society will treat it not like as being a successful person. They may think of being a mad person or something like that. So what should one do in that case?
You see, everybody's definition of success is different. And the definition changes with age. So it's like this. Your fulfillment will come only through higher levels of experience. Higher levels of experience, what I mean is, you see, when you were a student, you were thinking that if I have a good job, maybe in an institute like IIT, well, that is very fulfilling. After you get it here, then you start thinking, then what next? What will give me greater fulfillment than this? After you attain that level, again you start thinking. So like this, when you go on, others' words, others' criteria need not be my criteria. What does my mind say? If I can objectively study my mind, you see, this is what emotional intelligence is about. You are able to objectively study your emotions. Does this give me greater fulfillment, or does that give me greater fulfillment? Does calming the mind give me greater fulfillment, or raising all kinds of emotions in my mind give me greater fulfillment? It's for me to decide. So finally, it is your criterion alone will satisfy you. You are the best person to judge what will give you fulfillment. Go on striving along higher and higher levels of fulfillment, and you will know what success means. You see, people who have attained spiritual fulfillment, you know how it is described in the Gita. It says, Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi na vichalyate. Which means, getting which one doesn't want anything more. He says, enough. I've got the ultimate, complete satisfaction. So this level of fulfillment is possible. It's come out in the lives of our saints. Which means human life at some point of time should take a spiritual turn. A spiritual perspective for understanding things better and better. Then you achieve higher and higher levels of fulfillment. You can always try it. You don't have to take anybody's words for it. Try it in your own system. What gives me greater and greater fulfillment? It's a inner research. And you don't have to worry about what others say, because your problem seems to be about what society is telling you.
Ma'am, one has to live in society only, na? So we have to, at one stage, we have to think about them also. Otherwise,
no, definitely. See, you have to listen to what others say, but you know what the general principle is. With opinions, float with others. With principles, stick to what you believe in. Stick to what you believe in. Ultimately, what your experience is in your own system is the ultimate criterion for you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
And Swamiji used to also say, Vivekananda used to say, the dictates of society are not final. You know, once he said, truth does not pay homage to society, ancient or modern. Society has to pay homage to truth or die. Society is not the ultimate standard for my fulfillment. There's a very important sociological idea in Shankaracharya's works. He says, what is the purpose of society? You see, we all ask this question. What is the purpose of society? To the individual? What is the purpose? Then he answers, he says, the purpose of society is to bring about individual evolution towards the highest. If a society does not cater to this evolution, it is damaging. It is an undeveloped society. That society is the highest, where the greatest truths become practical. This is Swamiji's definition of an ideal society. That society is not the highest, where the GDP is the highest. That is our definition. But Swamiji's definition was, you may have a lot of money, but do you have a lot of fulfillment along with it? That society is the highest, where the greatest truths become practical.
Pranam Mataji, thanks for such an inspiring talk. My question is, like you said, be completely honest. When I try to be completely honest, people say you should be diplomatic. So how to distinguish between? It's very difficult to make a difference between diplomacy and honesty. Thank you.
That is always the diplomat's advice. Be diplomatic. Yeah. You see,
in the workplace, basically in the
yeah.
workplace, people say don't be so honest. You know how to deal with the situation diplomatically.
You see, it's like this. There is something called interpersonal intelligence. Intelligence is a multiple something, you know. It's not just to do with IQ or even EQ. There are other factors involved. There's something called interpersonal intelligence, which means when people give you advices like this, you must be able to take into consideration their motives, their actual lifestyle, their emotions. What is it that is making them give you this advice? Because you see, diplomacy and all this kind of stuff, it's on a superficial level. Deep within, to attain success anywhere, even in a corporate, your inner integrity counts. And if you are not honest within, that integrity is not going to show, no matter how diplomacy is on the surface. Diplomacy is always on the surface. Deep within, if you are an integrated person who believes in higher ideals and sticks to them, that will show in the interview, that will show in the workplace, that will get you the best friends. But diplomacy alone will not get you that. That will get you people of real character. So always, you see, float with the opinions, but stick to the principles. Stick to honesty, float with diplomacy.
I'm extremely delighted by your enlightenment. Thank you. And the thing which I want to ask is about decision making.
Yeah.
The thing which I want to ask about is decision making. Ma'am, I don't know, I may be wrong, but I think that the decision making thing is highly situation centric. For example, there may happen certain situation. For example, if I talk about Ms. Mahabharat, Krishna took some wrong means, although for a good end, but still he chose the wrong means. He might have chosen the right thing. So I think what you told about diplomacy thing, I think up to some extent it helps in the positive evolution of the society. So I just want your
No.
And ma'am, one more thing, I just want to ask about exposure thing. I mean, are you telling that we should not be exposed to certain things, or are you telling that we should be exposed to certain things, but then those exposure should not influence us?
No, you see, that is an almost impossible situation, that you are exposed to certain things and yet not influenced by them. We haven't yet attained that level of detachment. When you are exposed to things, they definitely have an impact on your mind. So if you want to scan, to actually decide what the impact should be, if you want particular impacts, then expose yourself to particular things. See what is good. This is a general term, see what is good. It means see what is noble, what will create good vrittis in your mind. That is the meaning. And if you are exposing yourself to all sorts of things, which is what we are doing to our children. And then we are teaching them in school, be honest, be non-violent, be this, be that, be truthful. And we are exposing them to all sorts of things. Will this work? You decide, you tell me yourselves. So this is the thing. That is why that illustration of the 3 monkeys, the Switzerland monkeys, you see one eye closed, one ear closed, half the mouth closed, means that there must be controlled exposure. Then you can keep your mind under your control. If you expose yourself to just anything, the vrittis in your mind will follow what you see. That is the idea. Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi. That is the equation. Yes. Regarding the diplomacy factor, you see many times in life, as she said, people advise and also on the surface decisions are taken diplomatically. But what is not to be lost sight of is the truth behind anything. Because you see, honesty is not just the best policy, it is the only policy. If you are honest in any particular situation, it will tell not just through your behavior or conduct or whatever, it will tell through the people you attract towards yourself also. If you want to attract the best minds, the best people, then you must be honest at all levels. You took the example of Lord Krishna. You see, at one point in the Mahabharat war, Krishna explains out why he is taking those steps. Not during the war, after the war actually. He tells why did he kill Dronacharya like that? Why did he kill Karna like that? He says because they behaved in such a manner, even in a situation when they could have made a vast change. It was a very crucial point. There were certain situations like that in the Mahabharat. They were totally neutral. So to make them feel that sense of helplessness, he had to resort to that. This is the explanation he gives. You see, to make a person undergo what he has made others undergo is a therapy today. Do you know that? You can say Krishna was adopting that kind of a therapy. In the US, let me give you an example. In the US, you see the very high level of crime, they have invented a new therapy. The therapy is what? Not just expose the whoever the offender to all the good things. It's not just that. Actually make him undergo what the victim has undergone. That is a sure way to arouse the latent empathy of the offender. This is one of the techniques being tried. So you see, this is a kind of approach. That's the answer.
Thank you, ma'am, for
What a beautiful question. You see, let me give you Vivekananda's definition to this. He said, that is right which is unselfish. In the ultimate analysis, that is right which is unselfish. That is wrong which is selfish. That is right which brings about good to others. Mahabharat war example. That killing was right because it brought dharma into the kingdom. So many such instances are there. And that is wrong which, well, it's selfish. It does good only maybe to a small community or whatever. So that sarvajana hitaya sarvajana sukhaya, that was the motto for rightness. That which brings about the good of many, the benefit of many is right. So these are some of the criteria which we use. Even in ethics, you see, this is one of the criteria used. Swamiji gives a very general principle when he says whatever is selfish is right, is wrong, and whatever is unselfish is right. So this is a very general principle. How do I apply it in any particular situation? I have to find that out myself. What is this ultimately going to do, this decision? Is it just good for me? Is it good for others? If it is good for others, it brings about the welfare of many, it is the right thing to do, even if it is a bit at the cost of myself. This is how we judge rightness. Yes? Yeah. Now please repeat your question. Yeah. One moment. If your character is good, that includes unselfishness. Unselfishness is part of good character. If you are good for yourself, you naturally affect others. That is not selfishness. If you are good, a good mind will naturally affect others to become good. You inspire others to become good. You see, as minds, we are all connected in a very deep way. As bodies, we are different. As minds, are we different? Now, if I show anger here on the stage, all of you will get frightened there. As minds, we are deeply connected. So, you must know that it's not a kind of selfishness at all. If I improve my own mind, at some point in your life, you have to devote your energies to improving yourself. That should not be called selfishness. When you improve yourself, you become a better person, you affect others positively. You see, I have known people who are very rich and yet very simple. Because they have known that their happiness does not depend only on their richness, only on their money. I know such people. Many amongst our devotees are like that. They have adopted simple living, high thinking principles, although they have everything in life, because they know it's the nature of the mind that counts. Happiness is a state of mind. It does not depend on outside objects. It does not depend on money. Money may be one of the factors for a certain amount of happiness. There are other factors also. To be able to generate them, I must understand this. I must understand what exactly happiness is. Your question is actually that. What exactly is happiness? You see, happiness in the ultimate analysis is a very sattvic state of mind. Unless we are able to generate that sattvic state, no matter how many things you chase or how many things you accumulate or hoard, you are not going to get happiness. Find out the truth of this analysis by yourself. This is an Upanishadic statement. Taittiriya Upanishad talks about happiness. And then the conclusion is this, that the greatest happiness is God. Well, this will be a little too much, maybe for many of you, but the greatest happiness is God by the total giving up of desires. A mind totally free of desires reaches the state of pure consciousness. That is the greatest happiness. Even if we don't go so far yet, that dharana may not come into our minds, the idea. But this much we should understand, my happiness is a state of mind. It is not dependent on objects outside. If I can generate that state of mind without the need for these objects, I have become spiritual. That is the purpose of all experience. Yes?
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation.
One by one. Yes.
As you mentioned that when things are good and pleasant, then you should choose the one which is providing maximum benefit to others.
Yeah.
Right? So could you please explain this with help of some example? And also, what should be the psychology of our mind when we make such a decision?
You You see, when good is equal to pleasant, usually good is not equal to pleasant. Usually. Sreyas and Preyas are different. As I told you, it is only in our culture that this idea has come up in a very big way. Usually what is very attractive is not good for you. What is very good for you may not appear pleasant at all, may not appear attractive at all. But suppose the two are quite close. That's your question, isn't it? Your question is, suppose the two are quite close, then I said that you do something which is of maximum benefit to others.
Right, ma'am.
So that is the very definition of morality. What he just now asked, is it right? How do I know what is right? That which maximizes the happiness of others. That is what is right. Today's law, every institution is based on that, universalizing the growing index of human rights. Since human being is at the center of all experience, what counts ultimately is your understanding of his happiness. If you know something is benefiting maximum number of people, go ahead and do it. That is right. That is how we have to think.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. No, calmness is not being said in this particular context. You see, suppose you actually see suffering, or maybe your family or near and dear one suffering. Your first task will be to go, your duty will be to go and do what is required for them. I will not advise you to go into meditation. Pardon? You are in a situation when you can't do anything. Oh, then what should you do? That is your question. You see, it's impossible that you can't do anything. It's given like this. In any given situation, what is the right thing to do is, suppose now you see suffering all around you. Your immediate impulse should be to help the people who are suffering. That itself will have the effect of meditation. You know, once a young man like you came to Vivekananda and then told him that, sir, I try so much to meditate, but you know I can't. I close all the doors and windows in my room and I sit for such long hours, but my mind does not sit. It keeps wandering. Then Swamiji said, first thing, open all the doors and windows in your room. Go outside. See who's suffering all around you. You see how many people are suffering around you. If it's not physical suffering, it may be psychological suffering. How many people are distressed. Go and do good to them. You will have the effect of meditation. Your mind will change. We discussed just now, good action immediately creates good samskars. The gain, the subjective gain is yours. We don't realize that. You see, everyone talks of service. What does service do? Suppose you gave something to a person who's very poor. You see it as that person was benefited. What happened to me? I lost the money. This is how you might view it. But you know what happened? Your generosity created a deep level samskar in your mind. His happiness became my happiness. That created a wonderful samskar in your mind. It will stand by you throughout life. It will give you a perennial source of happiness, it becomes. And it becomes a tendency. Generosity, service, help, empathy, love, they become your samskars. This is the best way to counteract negative emotions. But if you didn't do that act, you would not have got that samskar. The gain is yours. Psychological gain is yours. Physical gain was his.
Namaste. My simple question is, what is the purpose of life?
All very simple but profound questions here. Yes. Very important question. You see, whose answer shall I give you? Let me give you the highest answer, because Sri Ramakrishna's answer was, the purpose of human life is the realization of God. Or let me say, to realize your own divine nature. To understand the core of the human personality, which you are, your own being. To realize that is the goal of human life. Then what about all this that we are doing? That is the means. Everything can be made into a means. Everything can be made into a method to attain that goal. But if I have no understanding of the goal, I get constantly sidetracked, going here, there, hopelessly searching for happiness here and there, where it cannot be found, and then repenting, regretting, confused. So goal orientation is so important. When Sri Ramakrishna says the goal of life is the realization of God, what does it mean? Self-realization is the goal. Upanishads are constantly telling you. Even Socrates said, know thyself. What do they mean? There is some dimension of my personality, knowing which I know the core truth about myself. And that is the source of infinite bliss. It's because it is pure consciousness. Just now I'm perceiving the world, perceiving objects through a very limited, diluted, intermittent level of consciousness. But this, the entire thing is my real nature, pure consciousness. So if at least a dharana of it is got in the mind, the goal becomes clearer. The goal of mind is self-realization. How to handle our irrational fears and insecurities. You see, you must never try to rationalize with your emotions because they are always irrational. All negative emotions are always irrational. So what do we do? Suppose I'm struck down by fear or worry. What is the best thing for me to do? I can't counteract it at that level. I can't bring in the opposite thought. So I go ahead and do something good instead. Suppose I have fear of, say, a forested area. Some people have fears for so many things, you see. So suppose I have that kind of a fear. How do I overcome this kind of a fear? I start some kind of a service work there, close by. It goes on producing positive thoughts, positive samskars in my mind. Gradually, the fear samskar gets undermined. The best way is do the opposite action. If you can't think the opposite thought, in that kind of situation, you see, we are so vulnerable. We may not be able to generate the opposite bhav. The bhav of fearlessness will not come when you are in fear. So go ahead and do the action, some good action which is of benefit to others. It will immediately change your mood and creates a positive samskar for you. That will change the fear gradually over time. But dealing with our fears is another very important. It is to be actually discussed because fear is something very debilitating. It removes all your energies and it's a very strong negative samskar. So there are methods for that also. Maybe some other time we will discuss that. Yes?
Ma'am, what I want to ask is that how can one reduce his sleeping hours? Because what happens is that something keeps on going till late at night in the college, and what happens is that I end up sleeping in the lectures. So I'm losing a lot on that. So something to reduce the sleeping hours.
Yeah, you see, very practical question. Now, you said something goes on happening in the college and I have to follow it and see it. But why? Why should you? Because the friends are doing it.
No, practices of most of the clubs keep on going till 2 or 3 at night. So that I have to attend to learn something.
So why you have to attend?
Because the practices start at around 10 or 11 at night, and so to learn that I have to attend them.
I don't know what clubs you're talking of. Sports?
No, like debating club or dancing, like that.
Oh my God, you do it at midnight?
Yeah.
Oh. Now see, if you have greater interest in debating and dancing and whatever than in your lectures, then of course you should attend those clubs at the cost of the lectures. But then if you can minimize your interest there, because just now your lectures are most important to you, prioritize. Your lectures are most important to you. You're a student first, a debater second. So don't do that.
But I want to try everything at least once, so it's important.
That's a very frank statement. You see, this is the young mind, wants to try everything once. So you can try it during your holidays. I'm sure you can do that. It's an extracurricular activity.
But I've heard many people saying that his or her teacher sleeps for 4 hours and then also he remains active for the whole day. So how is that possible? Because I can't do that in less than 7 hours.
No, you see, you can reduce your sleeping hours, but many people can't reduce below 6 hours. They at least need 6 hours of sleep. So you have to plan your time accordingly. Now, prioritize and see what is most important to your life. I think it's your studies and nothing else just now. So then you focus on that, and the rest of the time, you see, it's just 4 years maybe, your degree, and then maybe another 2 years. After that, you have all the time. Go in for many things after that. Just now, and especially when you're in IIT, I would not say you do 10 things and then somehow manage your studies. I would not give you that advice. You see, it's an experimental samskar which is telling you, let me try this, let me try that. That's only natural. But it's important for you to concentrate on your studies just now. So let that be for the present. Later on, you can take it up again.
One last question, yes.
Pranam Mataji. My question is that how to bring self-confidence in oneself. It's like whenever I achieve something, so it's like I put in my effort, I put everything there, my efforts, and when I'm putting my efforts in it, I'm just very sure that I would be able to achieve that, and I achieve that. And then afterwards, when I have achieved that, it's just simply at the back of my mind is that I just got it because of my luck or something like that. And I'm not a confident person about this thing. That if I have given my efforts, I'm at very depressing state as well as at very encouraging state too. That yeah, I can achieve everything, and at some point that if I have achieved, no, it was my luck or something. I don't know why or something. Can you explain about that?
See, the way to develop self-confidence is self-confidence is automatically generated when you do the right thing at the right time. Are you able to do the right thing at the right time, or is it due to the impulse of an emotion, as you just said, that you have done the thing and then it's come out successful? Well, that means your self-confidence is not yet fixed. When maybe you are not so successful, the self-confidence will dip. But if you are able to do it out of an act of will, which means you are in control of your personality, control of your mind, and you are able to do the right thing at the right time, then self-confidence naturally develops. Self-confidence comes. This is the only way self-confidence comes. So the ability to do this, generate the ability to do this, all this will actually come only when a large part of your mind is under your control. Self-control is unanimous. I mean, it is the exact definition of success is a self-controlled person is successful. Because your mind is in your hands. There is no other way. If suddenly something comes out very successful, well, suddenly it can also drop. So the ability to do it consciously. Ability to do it consciously at the right time, take the right decision, do the right work, and self-confidence will just zoom up.
Namaste Mataji. Actually, after starting this Vivekananda study circle, I attended 3 lectures like this. I find that I got so many benefits from these lectures and all. Actually, when I went to my home, I have seen so many people are in their own thoughts and all. Actually, I will tell one example. Suppose our parents talking rubbish about some other relative. Actually, our children also think in this way. Okay, maybe that uncle is like this, or these people are like this. Actually, they are exposed to this type of environment. Actually, they will think in this way only. Actually, after some days, after few years, their elder generation will leave this world, but this younger generation will rule this world. Actually, since childhood, they exposure to this type of wall. Maybe when the time came to rule this wall, means that they will maintain their family or to maintain relation with some other things. This younger generation will also do the same thing. Based on this, our next generation almost reaching to collapse. How to come out of the situations?
Yeah, you see, Shraddha is to be kept up no matter what you hear from your parents or whatever. Shraddha is to be kept up. Suppose somebody's words create ashraddha in you, that is faithlessness. Then, well, what do? Close half the year, as I told you. Do what is right in any particular situation. Nobody should be able to dictate what will get into my mind. I decide that. So if you feel that some negative talk is going on, close half the year. Half the year, by that I mean, expose yourself to good things. Don't listen to what is not right, what you feel is not right. Shraddha is to be maintained at all cost, because Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Respect for everyone. Shraddha in everyone. That is the only way to grow actually. So whatever is contrary, antagonistic to that, you can leave it.
I see a lot of hands, but due to time limitations, we have to wrap up this session. Mataji will be here for a few more minutes. You can have your questions with her. Anyways, questions will be infinite, so you are the best answer. You can best answer your own questions, but still, after I wrap up this session, you can always meet Mataji and, have some queries. So I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mataji for kindly sparing her valuable time for us. And I'm sure that her inspiring words would have encouraged many of us and to think about various issues of our life. And I would also like to thank our audience. I sincerely hope that all of you will keep participating in our future activities. And so what I gained from her talk was that it is our habits, our sanskars, which are of crucial importance. So no matter at what pedestal of our lives we are, we can always have a change, because that is something which is constant. Before ending this session, I would like to just recite a few lines. I would like to request all of you to just close your eyes for a few moments, remove all your questions, answers, everything, and just reflect on what she said, okay? So, I'm going to start. Is this the end or the beginning of a new age, of a new era? For something to blossom in its flow, opposite has to end its show. Whether it is season, winter or summer, or the end of 12th hour, whether it is day after night, or the calmness which follows the fight. Look at the chameleon on the tree, which changes its color, absolutely free. Now gaze at the leaves of that tree. Haven't they changed this January? Look at the ripples of the river. Is their nature same forever? Now look at yourself, who takes the dips and imagines to be pure of all the trips. But have you ever noticed the fact that the water in which you cleansed your acts does changes for every dip, and you say that the Ganga is same? For the eyes could not see the nature of game played by the nature around you, making you a beast in the zoo. But once you become aware of the power, you turn to nature every hour for your problems, for your miseries. Solution emerges from the trees, or the rains, or the rivers, or the flakes of the snow, which makes you bow to the entire creation and its every revision, reminding you every moment that change is something which is constant, that change is something which is constant. Thank you so much. There are a few announcements. Our next talk will be on 12th February 2015 in the NRCV committee room, and details will be announced soon. All students who would like to be added to our mailing list or help us in organizing our future events are requested to give me their contact details just after the end of this session. And there is one more thing. Besides listening to these talks, it is more essential to experience it on ourselves. So, keeping this view in mind, we are going to start yoga meditation sessions in all the hostels. So, the first sessions for the residents of Kailash and Himadri will be in Kailash basement at 6 p.m. tomorrow. So, see you there. We want more volunteers for conducting these sessions in all the hostels. So interested students who would like to volunteer for such sessions are required to stay back and give me the contact details. Thank you for attending the session. Thank you, Mataji.